Donovan Leach is a Scottish folk singer. Had great hits like Sunshine Superman, Mellow Yellow, and so many more. As a matter of fact, his 70th birthday is coming up, and they're going to have a big celebration at the London Palladium. This interview was conducted by me back in Expo 86 days. How do you feel about what the press and media have referred to as England's Bob Dylan when they talk about Donovan?
He and I came out of the same background. I mean, folk music is with a harmonica. And it's true to say that you could have linked me with him for the first 15 months of my career. But after then, what I did was I developed my own sound, as it were. But people did link me to him. In England, it was called the Battle of the Charts. Who would get to the top of the charts first? But when Bobby Dylan came over to England, and everybody hit him with this press thing, have you heard of Donovan? You know, he's copying you. He said, "Who's Donovan? Play me his record." And they played him the record, and he said, "He doesn't sound like me. He sounds like Jack Elliott." So Bobby and I had a good relationship, but press-wise, it looked like that. Now, what I have to say is it's an honor to be linked to the man, because he's a great songwriter, great artist of our century. He's like the Elvis of folk music to me. Well, he's a kind of an Elvis figure. But because we wrote songs, we were linked. What it did for me when I was 18, when everybody said, "Oh, you're copying him," it only gave me an edge to push myself harder. And I pushed myself harder and harder because I was at great pains to tell people, yes, there's some similarity. Woody Guthrie, Jack Elliott, the harmonica playing, the jeans, the cap. And I did emulate him. And what many people don't understand is that I did not imitate him. I emulated him. I emulated the man because from the very first day I heard him, I said, I want to do that. And then 20 years down the road, what have we got? We've got a body of work called Donovan's work and Dylan's work, and it's obvious that if I only had copied him, I wouldn't be here today, still singing music to a crowd in Vancouver. Not many people know that Dylan came over in '63 to England and met a lot of my folk singing friends and actually took melodies of the Scottish and Irish tradition and put his own music, put his own lyric to the music there. It is linked, and Joan Baez and Seeger and all the Seeger family, they knew the link between the Scottish and the folk tradition of America and the Irish folk tradition of America. It's linked, and let's face it, the English people were much quicker to emulate the blues singers than the Americans, yes. And it was the Stones and the Yardbirds and all the bands that came out of England. We emulated the black folk musicians of America, and when you pull the music of the black American tradition apart, you see these British roots. So it's a kind of linked, yeah, it's all one, really. Of all the males in the 60s, I was the only one that could actually talk about a strong male position that could be sensitive, that could talk about flowers, and that could talk about a two-way relationship with a woman that didn't necessarily have to be like the Stones, you know, under my thumb. It didn't have to be like that. There was another way of looking at it. And so Flower Power for me is a media event that was projected onto me, and I was supposed to be the Prince of Flower Power. In an audience, in a live audience like this, I try to neutralize all the age groups. That's what my job is on stage. But my music on record has had an enormous impact on how people look at their children, or how people look at themselves, or how people look at their friends. And that's quite unusual. That is probably my most unusual impact on popular music. That I don't fit into the rock and roll slots that are there. But I've been accepted.
You brought gentleness to music, if I could say.
Yeah, and yet music in its essence is a gentle art that military people have used music to rouse nations, but I've used music to actually pacify a lot of people. And that, if one said, what is Donovan's impact in the last 20 years? That when the rock and roll had ended, when the party was over, when the trip was over, when all the problems came down to it, hundreds of people have written to me to say that one song has taken me through a problem that I thought I had, and it eased that problem. It took the edge off the problem, and so I pacified. And this is the message of peace that I think John Lennon and Donovan are very linked in that sense, that we've always tried to make this message of peace that pacifies the emotions.
Donovan, thank you for being with us, and I love your poetry. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.